Hello, today is the 28th of December, 2025. I'm still in Netherlands. I'm actually in the awesome studio of Catherine Austin Fitz, but she's still not back yet. And Misako is flying in tonight from Japan, so I'll be picking her up as well. I'm extremely happy that Misako is coming back. Um, you know, it's pretty unbelievable when you see Masako exposed to so many things in so many countries, and then what comes out of her mouth after she's had a chance to see so many things and then think about it. And because she's about 90% ears, about 8% questions, and about 2% talk, and that 2% talk is payload. It's really incredible. And so I'm curious what she has to say now that she's this year, 2025, is coming to a close. One thing that's quite interesting is I can't wait until to see her and actually Catherine back together again, because we're all going to be in the same room again, talking for hours at a time. Catherine is absolutely brilliant. And her team, actually, I don't know how many people know much about her team, but the Solari team, I've met quite a few of them. This is an exceptional group of people. The Solari team. Actually, I should have brought in one of their reports, but I left it in the other room because the reports that they put out are amazing. The Solari reports. Um, anyway, if you can get me on an airplane to come see you, you know how serious I take it. When Catherine Austin Fitz invited Misako and me over to Netherlands, we literally flew from Japan and came here. And now I'm in her studio, and she's not even here. So I'm waiting for her to get back. Catherine, I know you're going to see this. I can't wait for you to get back. And I'm going to ask you about silver. Silver. Um, Actually, before we get to that, I'm going to mention something else, and these all play in together. Down in Panama right now, you may have seen that some Panamanians have torn down this Chinese memorial that's right next to the Panama Canal. I've been there many times. I've taken so many people there. Ann Vandersteel, of course. Misako and I have been there many times. And Ann Vandersteel reported from there. Laura Logan, so many people we've taken there. Brett Weinstein, Dr. Chris Martinson, who's dead on about silver, by the way. You should listen to Chris Martinson on silver. And anyway, well, I'll share a little secret. We've been working for quite a while to get that thing torn down, and now they just did it. So we do a lot of things like this behind the scenes, and nobody really knows who did what or why they did it. Well, I tell you why they did it. We did an information campaign and got it torn down. I mean, literally, they tore it down. So it just, I mean, I've asked somebody to go take photos of the rubble. I just asked a friend of mine a few hours ago. So in any case, this is the sort of a lot of the things that we do I can never talk about, but they're very effective. But some, that one I'm fine to say, we did it. We didn't tear it down. We didn't give the order, of course. We just prodded the right people with the right information over time. It was always truthful. It's just like, see the five claws on the dragons, and it's right beside the Panama Canal, right beside the port that China controls. Somebody's messaging me. Actually, somebody in Panama. I should look at this and see what it says, because it's sort of an interesting person in Panama. Let's see. Oh, he just said, awesome, great work. It's okay. Right. And yes. And so in any case, he's talking about, this isn't live, but he saw what happened. And so China, that's right beside China's fourth bridge too. So where I'm talking about, this Chinese memorial is right next to the Thatcher Ferry Bridge, and it's just between where China's building the fourth bridge over the Panama Canal. It's China's first bridge, but it's the fourth bridge in total. We opened the first one in 1963, the Thatcher Ferry Bridge. That's the bridge that everybody knows at Panama City. And so anyway, we've been trying to get that memorial torn down, and it worked. And so I'm just happy with that, and I'm happy to actually mention it. Now, that's China. And China, of course, is not going to be happy with that. But there's a huge war going on. It's global. It has to do with basically everything, moving populations around, monetary policy, all sorts of components. Many weapons are brought to bear, including kinetic, right? And so, but one of the main battles going on right now, a sort of D-Day, is with silver, actually. Now, keep in mind, I mentioned this in the last video. Is this thing running? Yes, it is. In the last video, I mentioned, silver. If this were D-Day, silver would be like Omaha Beach. The main fighting on the beach was at Omaha Beach on D-Day, right? And it was significant. Actually, interestingly, it was right next to a beach codenamed Gold Beach. But anyway, these days, Omaha Beach might be called Silver Beach because although silver is a very tiny part of the overall global economy, it's a very, the market cap is tiny compared to just practically everything, but it's one of those things like your heart's not that big compared to the size of your body, or the Panama Canal is tiny compared to the globe. It's actually like minuscule. It's less than a piece of dust when it comes to actual size. All of Panama is less than a piece of dust, but it's vital. The Panama Canal is absolutely vital. That's why we spend so much time there. And the Suez Canal, absolutely vital. That's why you see so much fighting over there with Israel. It has to do with routes and resources and ideology, of course, or in Panama, routes and resources, and then higher than that, ideology. Silver. Even Elon Musk, the dope guy, talked about silver in the last couple days. He basically put an alert up on his X, if that's him, about, it's actually quite important. It affects obviously everything, including all the smartphones being built, the EVs, so many things, the data centers, weapon systems, just stuff, lots and lots of stuff. And so silver is one of the main battlegrounds, even though it's a tiny portion of the overall picture. There's a major fight going on over the silver issue right now. And if you're in the silver space, if you trade in silver or you're paying attention to it, you're noticing right now it is shots fired all over the place, right? And it's building. It's actually building. When you get into an actual combat, often that starts, you'll hear sometimes it's just kind of one shot starts and then a few more. And before you know it, it's a huge roar, right? Sometimes that's how the fights begin. And that's how this one's begin. Shots fired, few more shots fired, more people are orienting, and now it's almost up to full roar. And not quite, but it's almost there. And it's key because a lot of our economy is built on a house of cards. It's paper, like fiat, like the money, euros, US dollars, whatever. It's all fiat, right? And likewise, a lot of these ETFs where people are trading in silver or gold or whatever, pork bellies, whatever it is, they're actually just paper. You might have 1 ounce of gold or 1 kilo of gold, but there's 100 pieces of paper claiming that is their asset that they're connected to, but they're just not. It's fraud. It's outright fraud. And this is nothing new. It's nothing new under the sun. This has been done over and so you have fraud built on fraud built on fraud. Literally, you're dealing with fiat money. That's one of the house of cards, paper cards, and then dealing with paper, making claims on say silver, right? And in this case, some big things are coming due, and a lot of these electronically traded, mechanisms are being called out. So people are going to want physical silver, and it's not going to be there. So there's going to be either cash payouts or force majeure or some other things are going to unfold. We don't know what it's going to be, but at the end of the day, skipping past, I would rather listen to the people that know a lot more about silver than I do, which I have access to those people like constantly, people that know 100 times more about silver and gold and all that than I do. Luckily, I'm able to just call them up, and I do all the time. So I'm getting a lot of back channel information, sometimes hours-long calls, and I'm synthesizing what all these people are telling me, and I can see that silver is a major battleground. Keep in mind, this is nothing new. I mean, China is big currency centuries ago was silver. I've gotten one of my books from the 1700s. It's talking about how much silver is flowing out of England back to China for tea, actually. And this Englander, let's say, that's writing in the book, he's talking about flows to the Caspian Sea and other things, actually. That's what the book is actually about. But he's actually saying, oh, the tea is actually bad for everybody, and it's causing all of our silver to flow back to China. But in any case, there was a time when the gold to silver ratio was 1-to-1. I mean, actually, and I've brought this up to some people. Again, I am zero expert on metals. I pay attention a lot. I read a lot. I'm studying a lot. But there's people that know this far better than I do. But I've brought it up to a few people. I don't see anything standing in between it going back to something like 1-to-1. Of course, that's absolutely radical, and people would throw me out the window for saying that, because, absolutely radical is to say it would go to 15-to-1, 15 units of silver, say ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. But the mining ratio apparently is about 6.9 to 1, say 7-to-1 ratio. I don't know. I'm always dependent on what somebody says, what somebody writes. I don't actually know, but what we can see in the historical record and many of my old books, I mean, the silver and gold were trading together. The Wizard of Ounces, by the way, the Wizard of Oz is about the Wizard of Ounces. The Wizard of Oz, the Yellow Brick Road was gold bricks. Dorothy's shoes were not ruby, they were silver, right? And they fall asleep in the opium and the poppy, right? It's all the same. That's a very sophisticated story, actually, Wizard of Oz. But what I'm getting to is silver is an industrial metal. And you've seen Matt Bracken talking lately. I communicate with Matt Bracken constantly. Matt Bracken has very good thinking skills, and he studies like crazy. I've been down to Panama with Matt, by the way, out in the jungle and everything. Very smart man. And more importantly, he has a proven track record of getting weird things right way in advance. Like very good. He's world class when it comes to getting things right way in advance. I think mostly that's because of really strong thinking skills backed up by he just studies like crazy, and he allows every answer to be possibly true or possibly false. And so that's what's, these thinking skills. But again, when I bring this idea up that I wouldn't see anything, again, no expert, but I see nothing historically standing in between silver now at 50-something to 1 ratio to gold to going to 1-to-1. I don't see why. I don't see anything standing in between that other than psychological obstacles, which will be blown out of the way if there's an actual war over silver. And as Matt mentioned before, I mean, if the U.S. cuts off ships that are bringing silver out of South America to China, I mean, this could go, or Venezuela. I mean, this is quite serious, right? The silver is a big deal because many of the companies like Tesla, SpaceX, all those people, Samsung, huge companies are dependent on that silver for their manufacturing, not to mention weapon systems and data centers and all these things. And you could end up in a real kinetic war over this. Silver, as I saw somebody put on X, I'm sorry, I've forgotten who I saw put this up, but he said basically silver is the blasting cap in the gold. In other words, the blasting cap, for those who don't know, is like this little sort of silver thing that you stick into explosives, and the blasting cap is a very high explosive, and you put that like into TNT or C4 or whatever, and it sets that other charge off. Well, basically, silver, if that goes the way a lot of people think it'll go, it could collapse entire banks and entire many other things could go belly up, like pork bellies and gold futures. So many things can explode based on this. It's more like a firing chain. And a firing chain is where you have multiple things that are boosting up until the whole thing just goes right. And I think what we're seeing here is a firing chain, and you don't actually need to be a super expert on all the intricacies of stuff to see what'll happen when that gas gets into that wooden city. And because that's what we're looking at here. We're looking at potentially banks actually, stove up. We're looking at metal seizures. China, of course, is going to cut off, or they say they're going to cut off silver exports on January 1st. And then there's these calls on February 12th about, were you going to take your physical delivery of silver, or do you want cash or whatever? There's so many things unfolding here in short order. I think that it's going to get quite exciting. I'm paying attention to people like David Morgan. I talked with him the other day. Of course, Doug Casey, of course. All these people that I'm able to either watch them, what they're saying online, or actually get them on the phone. A lot of people. And all of their views are, they all differ, of course, on specifics, because nobody knows. And all these people that have done this for their whole life, they know that they don't really know. They just know basically how the weather is building, and it's building towards a big storm. And the bottom line is, if you don't physically own it with a serial number or hidden in your yard or something, you actually don't own it. If it's paper, it's subject to going up in flames very, very soon. And so anyway, I've got to do a few things. One site, by the way, that's put some interesting things up is this King Kong 9888, Eric Jung, and quite a few others. Anyway, but if you're on X, there's a lot of smart people that you might want to follow on the silver space. If you go to people like Matt Bracken and Eric Jung, which is King Kong 9888, you'll see the whole ecosystem will unfold in front of you, like David Morgan and all these other people that are out there. Their names are going to pop up because they're all chatting, in the same space. So with those just couple of names, you'll unlock the universe of and you can, by the way, again, on the AI, be very cautious with this AI. There's a tremendous information war going on now about silver, which should tell you how important it is. Actually, there's this one page called Asian Guy, AG. AG is the elemental symbol for silver. That's where Argentina got its name, by the way. It was after silver, basically land of silver. So, but AG, Asian Guy, that's clear, AI, but somebody's behind it, and they're up to something. Now, what I've watched, probably 15 or 20 of them now, trying to figure out who's doing what here. I'm looking at it I've watched about 15 or 20 of the Asian Guy videos, probably 20 actually. And so I'm trying to figure out who's actually doing it. At first glance, it looks like CCP's doing it. But then I see the Asian Guy actually attacking the economy in China as if it's like, collapsing. Trillions of dollars fleeing China, that sort of thing. So CCP wouldn't do that. Now, who would do that? Somebody could do that who's mimicking Asian Guy, because you could have, this is how these information wars go. If something's getting a lot of viewership, somebody's going to infiltrate it very quickly. That's just how these things go, not just on information war, but anytime something is a great center of power, it's going to get infiltrated very quickly at the highest levels possible, like the Vatican, right? Like just whatever. Anything that's a huge power center is going to get infiltrated. That's just how life works, right? And so Asian Guy. Now I'm watching some of the videos. It looks like it's a CCP channel at times. And then at other times I'm like, no, that's a direct attack on China, and I mean a hard attack, right? Not heart attack, but hard attack. And sometimes you might look at it and go, it's somebody with a bullion bank that's doing this, because or a vaulting service or that sort of thing, which is possible. But also there's another video where he's clearly saying if your money's in those vaults, the government's going to come get it, right? And everything is tracked if you've got anything. So in other words, these theories that I've had, I'm going, okay, it looks like CCP, and then there's a video attacking Chinese Communist Party and China economy, and I mean hard, not just a little bit. And so I mean that could give you it could give them some credibility, but and they do play the game of pawns. So I mean they could be saying, okay, we'll take a shot on this in order to further these other goals. I don't know, but also with the vaulting services, of course, people like Andy Schechtman have those vaulting services, and so they're like, no, this Asian guy stuff is absolutely wrong, and they're not going to come for. And Sheckman is a very knowledgeable guy. I listen to him as well. Actually, we've been swapping messages back and forth, but we've never gotten on the phone. But this is a thing. If it were somebody running vaults that were running the Asian guy thing, trying to push people into vaulting services, but then he turned around and attacked, or the AI turned around and attacked, the safety of storing your metals in vaults. So who's doing it? I don't know, because it's somebody that's got an agenda, that's for sure. There's a huge amount of effort being put into it. And again, I've watched probably 20 of them, and they're fascinating, and they're up to something, but it's hard to figure out who's behind it. Again, I want to state clearly, as soon as one gets a huge audience, it would be easy then to then mimic that and put a different message out from the same one. It looks like, because there's many different, it appears to be channels, and they're putting out way too much content for that to be just one person, unless they're using AI, right? And anyway, check out the Asian guy thing. But again, I'm saying check it out in service to learning more about information more, not to take it as advice to then go throw your money on. But some of the things from the Asian guy channel on YouTube, and I think it's in some other places as well, but it's on YouTube. Some of the stuff has turned out to be right. Like he'll say, tomorrow the silver price will probably hit 77 or whatever. And it did, you know what I mean? And, it was a big jump. And so a lot of the things, of course, a good information war is actually generally mostly going to be accurate. Not always, not in all cases. Sometimes the information wars are just the whole thing's a lie, but in other cases, it'll be mostly accurate. And if you're really trying to pull very, very serious people in on a long term, it's going to be 99% accurate, right? It's going to be mostly accurate. That's like British intelligence or American intelligence literally burning their own spies at times and letting them get captured and tortured and killed to keep the cover going, right? It's a brutal game, right? So it's not like China wouldn't actually put a video out there that attacks their own economy in order to build credibility. I don't know. I don't know who's doing it. But it's quite fascinating. Silver is a major battleground, even though it's a small component in the larger picture. But the battle itself is major. I would watch it if you want to get a feel for, if you're not paying attention to the Silver War, please do, because it branches out into so many other things. All right. I hope y'all have a Happy New Year, and I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. And thank you for supporting Masako and me in our efforts. This is extremely expensive, and we need the actual cash to operate. Silver is nice. Gold is nice. Platinum's nice. Palladium's nice. All those things are nice, but cash is nice too. And, when they used to say cash is king, I'm not sure it's so king anymore, but it's still great. And notice I haven't raised, even though inflation is, let's say, money printing is through the roof. I haven't actually raised the subscription fees, although I'm putting everything out for free anyway. All right, y'all have a happy day and Happy New Year.